In episode 2 of my podcast, I mentioned at the very end that I was hit with an unexpected surprise of a flower growing in my garden after it's been completely destroyed. I have some marigold flowers growing that died alongside the rest of my plants. I wish I had taken photos to document the devastation that my garden endured, but I was in complete shock and disbelief at how fast everything happened. My garden was literally scolded within 24 hours. Too quick for me to even figure out whether I contributed to this disaster or not. One singular marigold flower had recovered, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm still looking at every other plant, wondering if they will also recover, but it didn't look like there were any obvious signs of recovery for the rest. While I could, I decided to admire the singular marigold flower because it gave me hope that my entire garden would recover. I did what I could to help bring them back to life. I continued to water them, did some meditation, I shed multiple tears and spoke some positive affirmational words. I continued this routine for about a week, and I noticed that the marigold plant revived itself entirely. That is when my hope had fully repaired itself. Not only did the marigold plant revive itself, but I started seeing signs of revival in my collards, melons, cucumber, and zucchini plants. My strawberry plant also attempted to come back to life, but I must admit, I just gave up with that plant because I did not have enough mental or physical energy to go back and forth. I don't quite understand how botany works, but to witness obvious signs of death in plants only to see them all come back to life is shocking to me. When I first noticed that my plants were withered, I did not immediately spring into revival process. I went a few days without caring for them, which was the time that I was grieving a potential loss. During that time, there was no rain as well. It was during an intense heat wave. My guess is that our soil had to have been so rich and moist enough to keep the roots protected. I have been told that we have some pretty good soil. I witnessed it myself each time that I dig to plant things. The soil is extremely soft, cool to the touch, and has a lot of earthworms present. I think a lot of the earthworms is a good sign. So that is the science behind this situation, of course. My spiritual thoughts behind this is that Mother Earth is trying to teach me a lesson about not giving up. Even when we cannot see the true growth during the process, it does not mean that it does not exist. In this case, the true growth are the roots that lie beneath the soil. I could not see whether the roots were damaged or not, so I automatically assumed the worst. Even though I fell into a depressive state and wanted nothing to do with my garden, I still bothered to water my plants, and in return, Mother Nature has shown me what my efforts could do. This was such a beautiful experience that I often remind myself of when presented with similar situations. A friend of mine once told me that fortune favors the persistent because she was there with me during the whole disaster and recovery. She knew just how much I cared about my garden. She didn't push me to continue caring, and she didn't push me to stop caring. However, she provided comfort, and that was just enough to get me to make my decision. After dealing with such an interesting event, I was blessed with a delicious harvest of one zucchini squash, two cucumbers, and two melons. I don't like melons at all, but to be able to eat a fresh one from your very own garden was so different in the best possible way. I worked so hard to get my garden to where it is, and I genuinely did not want all of my hard work to go to waste. Now, if only I could apply such a thing to my day-to-day activities.